Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols and I'm here to bring you a little bit more than a nickel's worth today. I'm going to show you how to do a ribbon change with Votten ribbons that I just love. These things are amazing. They are polyester, they are not silk like your Beresfords, but they get the job done, and I happen to think that there are some advantages to using them. For example, it's easier to singe the edges. They don't tend to fray as much. I've done several ribbon changes in Bibles. This is the Baker Illustrated Study Bible. This is the most I've ever done. This has got 5 in it. And I chose the angle cut here. And then we have one of my favorites, the NKJV Cultural Background Study Bible. I did 4 with that one, and I chose to do the straight cut on those. And as you can see, looks really nice. And this is my ESV Study Bible, and I did 4, kind of an ocean color theme with your blues. I did angle cuts with those, and of course you can see that looks really nice. So, oh boy, I'm gonna do a Cambridge today. And the reason I'm switching the ribbons is I believe these are Beresfords, but they are just a little too short for my taste. So anyhow, just so you know, Votten has a ton of options. They have some 10 spool sets that come with different colors. And in the 10 spool sets, each one comes with 5 yards of color, which is plenty for the average person to do a Bible rebind. They have, different pastel-y, girly colors, bright and bold colors, all sorts of blues. It's just amazing what they're to offer. I'm going to go ahead and take these off the camera because these 3 are the ones I'm going to be working with. And actually, I'm not going to do the gold, but I just want to show you that really nice antique looking gold, really sharp. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing the red and the black. And anyhow, first thing you do is you cut the length. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you cut enough ribbon. I like to leave them long. So I like to even leave margin for error because you can cut it off, but you can't add any back on. So anyway, I snip it, bam, right there. And then I'll use this ribbon to kind of measure the red one. I'm tempted to go 3 on this, but I think I'm just going to go 2 because this is a relatively thin Bible. So anyhow, go ahead and cut your red one along with your black one. I'll go ahead and cut them straight to start off just to kind of have that perfect length there. Okay, so you got your 2 ribbons cut. And then here's what I do. This may freak some people out, but I open up the Bible. And I find my resin. This is really thin paper. Now, I've never done a high-end Bible like this before, so we are all going to be experiencing this together. So anyhow, let me go ahead and pull that back, and Lord help me. I'm actually a little nervous about this. And I usually kind of pull it to the edge, and then I just take my finger and I pull back that headband, which seems to be working pretty well okay. Now sometimes this headband will pop out, and sometimes you'll need like a pair of scissors to kind of get in there and kind of pull it down. Some people use a screwdriver. Just be careful not to damage that gilding, especially in an expensive Bible like this one. That can be pretty traumatic for some people. But anyhow, I've got that tailband worked out just about. There we go. It just broke free. So now go ahead and pull it all the way back. I'm going to hope this one doesn't pop out, but if it does, we're not going to panic because, yeah, there's no way I'd do 3 ribbons in this one. I was tempted, but anyhow, you kind of pull it up from that, but again, guard that text block. Hold this headband down, kind of pull it up, get up underneath there real good, and see you got it kind of loose. Go ahead and do that for the other one. Ooh-wee. And this one is being stubborn. So if you buy a Cambridge, know that they build it well. I may end up having to pull the whole headband out. Let's go ahead and get this one and see what happens. And it's definitely not going to be easy. So sometimes I close it, go back and forth. This feels more violent than it is. And I'm telling you what, this is being stubborn. So let's go ahead and see what we're working with here. Go back a little further. They must have kind of glued it further back in the text block. So sometimes when you have a lot of trouble like that, instead of yanking and pulling like I'm doing, you can just go ahead and get way up in there, which is what I'm going to do, and snip it off because you're not going to see it anyway because it's going to be underneath that headband. So that's probably the less traumatic way to deal with this, which is what I'm also going to do with this one. Most of your cheaper Bibles, you can just jerk them right out. This one's not cooperating, so I'm just going to cut it out. So there. Let's go ahead and do that. Make sure you get well under that because you don't want to see any residue from this thing. And snip it off there. Are you nervous yet? I am. Goodness. All right, so the good news is Cambridge is built well. So now you need to decide, where do you want your red, where do you want your black? Now, traditionally speaking, you put your red in the New Testament side, and you put your black in the Old Testament side. So again, this is my first high-end Bible, so I was pretty nervous about this, but so far, so good. And then I take my paintbrush. Now, this has got glue residue on it. That doesn't matter because this kind of functions like a spatula. pH-neutral PVA glue. And then you just take a little and you put it on your paintbrush / spatula. And then I'm going to take this and pull it way down so I don't get any on that text block, because you don't want to ruin that gilding. And then you just kind of paint it on there. You put a nice little generous amount on there. Not a lot, because a little bit goes a long way, but you do definitely want it to stay. And then I usually do both sides. And that's probably a little more than I'd like to use. And then pull it way down so you don't get it on that text block and go way under it. And then you just kind of brush. And that should actually be enough to get the job done. Because again, this stuff sticks really easy. So now, fairly simple process left. Take a little bit of the glue, boom, on each side of the ribbon. And again, a little goes a long way. I've never had any of these come out. And then you put it on the side you want. Now, I'm going to put it on the Old Testament side because that's where the most black letters are. All right, and put it down in there kind of as far as you can. And then you can use your scissors to kind of tuck it on back, because you want to get it as far in there as possible, because that makes it as secure as possible. And then you do the red side. Okay, and again, you don't need a whole lot because we've already glued that head and tail band anyhow. So then I put it over here. And I'm far more nervous than I usually am doing this, probably because of the Bible I'm doing, plus because I'm making a video. So then once you get them in there, there's a little glue residue on that one, so I'm going to shove it in a little further. Let me see here. So I've already had to abandon several plans. All right, there we go. Go ahead and shove this one further in there. Shove this one a little further in there, and then we're going to close the Bible. What that's going to do is that's going to help us determine if we have our spacing correct. And that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and secure that down. And I feel pretty good about that work. So we got it in there. So now we're going to open the Bible. Now, again, you're not going to use this for a little bit, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to go ahead and expedite the process. And I'm going to put this probably in about Judges. And make sure that you put it the way you want it to go, and also don't pull it all the way tight, because this 28 DSM paper is very, very fragile, and you don't want to tear it up. So what I like to do is I like to leave a little like bit up there to give it kind of that look, and I'll fix that in a minute to show you how it's supposed to look, but let's just go ahead and get them both in there for now. And then I'm going to put this one probably somewhere in toward the end of the Gospels. Well, Acts, that'll work. And there you go. All right, so now I'm going to go through the process of pulling these a little tighter, so that, like, that one's already a little too tight. So let's go ahead and back that out a little bit, because I would rather have to pull it tighter than... Okay, so there you go. That's about perfect for that one. So now we're going to work on the black one. I'm going to pull that just a smidge through. Yeah, that's about right for the red. And then for the black, you just want to gently pull until you get it exactly where you want it. That's not tight enough for me, so I'm going to tighten that up in there in the gutter. And then close it again. And that's probably about where you want it. Maybe a little bit more, because that's important for when you cut it. That's perfect. So anyway, ribbons are changed. They're long. Now, I like my ribbons long. I'm going to go ahead and angle cut these just because that's the kind of style I prefer. And I'm going to leave them quite long. So I'm going to cut them about right here and cut them. And it's important to have very sharp scissors for this. That's why I have these little bitty scissors, because they are super duper sharp and makes it easy to cut that angle. And then cut one more angle for your red. It doesn't have to be perfect, but get them close. And then last thing, take your match, or you can use a lighter, any source of heat, and you just singe them, just like that, real quick. You don't want to burn them. And once you singe them, that kind of keeps the ends from fraying up. And bam, Done. There you have it. Nice long ribbons for my Cambridge. I definitely like them long. Some people make fun of me before that. I've even had someone say don't trip over them. But anyhow, there it is. It looks really good. I like it. I'm very happy with the way that came out. I'm going to work with this headband a little more off camera, so make sure you kind of keep something against that for a little while, just to make sure. But as you can see, I didn't damage the gilding. Everything came out perfect. Headband's great. I even had to cut these ribbons out, so there's one complication that you may face. So there you have it. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth, or more than.